lead a strike team into Zorn with 3 objectives. Locate Jinx, dismantle Shimmer, and neutralize any agents still loyal to Silco.
哦，要讲就是毒气。他妈妈哦，通风系统。天哪，这毒气！直接致死的。Kaylin 他真的去把这些毒气释放了。哦，有点像小鳄鱼爱洗澡。天哪 ，Kaylin！ 哦，他好帅啊 ，Vi！ 哇，分裂的感觉。哦 ，Y 他想阻止。天呐 ，Kaylin 眼神已经变了。是不是 Jinx 以前那个基地呀？哦，天哪！这会是谁的杰作呢？那这样看来的话，上一季确实是 Kaylin 他把毒气释放到底层的，底层他们这些人根本没有所谓那些面罩能够就是健康的呼吸，他也确实想利用这个毒气来抓 Jinx 嘛。而且很细节，刚才 Kaylin 他就没有第一时间说想去救人，而他其他的小队员更就是马上着急的去救人。Kaylin 他真的已经开始逐渐的改变了。
Thanks. I thought I was a goner.
Your speeches, man.
Was. Not anymore. Name's Hinot. I decided it was time for me to retire.
Looks more like someone decided to retire you.
Yeah, well, timing was never my strong. Ow! Sorry. It's the gray. It gives me that.
Tell us how you wound up here.
Hey, wait. Jinx is off the rails, even for her. She's got a real fire lit under her ass.
天哪 ，Kaylin 他是真能下手的。
Pipeworks.
It's a pretty big place down here.
She was headed towards the old tunnels. Something about rerouting the fence.
This is it then. Cuff him.
I told you everything I know.
You're a confessed criminal. You'll spend your retirement in a cell. Check your gear. This is what we've trained for.
但是 Y 脸上的那种犹豫。
Your first request for an audience was uninteresting. The second, inappropriate for someone of your station. The third, plain annoying. People have lost their heads for less. So tell me, Amara, what does a member of Piltover's Merchant Guild want from me?
I'm not here representing the guild. I've come here to settle a debt.
My bookkeeper is down the hall.
What you've stolen is more precious than any gold.
哦，这是他们最开始杀死的那个部落吧？感觉有点像是。哦，他的儿子就是他们弄死了吧？
My son is dead. Is that not enough to sate your bloodlust?
这是什么魔术啊？
Do not insult mine. We know what you're chasing in Piltover. We will not allow it.
Allow? Thank you. Your visit only confirms my suspicions. Try to stop me, insolent
哇， 瞬间反
My
击，
death means nothing. You should have given up the feud.
You have no inkling what family is to me.
哇，算是为他儿子报仇吧。
Triple the guard. This will have consequences. We need control now.
Solo isn't ready. Perhaps it's time we involve Mel.
他要
No,
找 Caitlyn
we must
了。
distance ourselves. She's safer as our enemy. I'll handle Salo.
Her disappearance won't go unnoticed for long.
It's worse than that.
已经释放信号了。
I think we should cut the others loose. Listen, if that Hinot idiot is telling the truth, Jinx is gonna have surprises in store for us.
All the more reason to bring backup.
She'll smell their nerves a mile away and find a way to use them against us. Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't let her get away again. Are you sure you're
My
ready?
sister is gone. There's only Jinx now. It has to end. I'm so sorry about your mother. I'm sorry I can't bring her back, but please just...
好烦，
Everyone in my life has changed. Promise me you won't change.
他无法 promise。 啊！哦，
I won't.
但是总感觉这是一个 flag。 我不想看到他们推开彼此。他已经受到影响了。
Out. Do you realize how easy it was for me to track you down here?
Well, I do own the place.
It's enough work propping you up without you dulling what few wits are left rattling around in there.
If you propped as well as you prod, maybe I'd have better uses for my time than sitting around waiting for an update on Princess Kiraman's underground escapades. She's gotten no closer to Jinx, but that doesn't seem to steal the stars from anyone's eyes.
Perhaps if you hadn't let a child overpower you in your own chamber.
It's not the girl. It's the name. It bewitches people. You should know. Do you really think Mel could have succeeded with it?
Never speak ill of my family.
Why are you here?
To sober you up.
天
Mission
哪
accomplished.
，Ambessa 有点太帅了。
time, rally every house and family with even a modicum of influence. Can you manage that?
Wait, for certain? Yes, of course. Whatever you need.
There is another matter concerning your guild merchant, Amara.
又是熟悉的这个地方。这身好适合 Mel， 好漂亮。
Good to see you again, Lest.
I'm out. Keeping an eye on a counselor with peculiar tastes doesn't rattle me. But that woman...
You met my mother. What did she want?
I don't know. They kicked me out before I could hear any of it.
他也有安插，有
Heard
人。
every word.
I'm sorry, but I really can't.
Lest, this is vitally important. I need to know.
This was never about Sallow. You're using me to get to her. And then what? You take what you need?
刚才那个人也是 Mel 安插的。
No, no one is expendable. That's what this is all about. Everything with my mother is a calculated risk. I'd love to promise your safety, but I can't make any assurances other than this. If my mother gets what she wants, the whole city will suffer. And right now, you're the only one who can stand in her way.
They're setting up some big announcement. All the who's who, aiming to take over and put Sallow in the hot seat, but we know who's really pulling the strings. I caught a name, Amara. I don't know what you make of that. Here, brand new cocktail, all the rage. It's made with shimmer, leaves traces on the body. That should be all you need to shut Sallow down.
Thank you.
用这个来依附到身体上，从而进行一些
Dangerous as she is,
进行
your mother
精神上的控制。
spooked. Could smell it. Like a cat backed into a corner.
Mel 他到现在还是一直坚持为底层人、所有人着想。
Victor hypothesized that there may be something he called wild runes. Patterns that would occur naturally where the border between our world and the arcane is thin.
Runes like the ones you use in Hextech. What's the difference between those and wild runes?
Pass me a tome. So I used words you understood in order to elicit your action. This is what Hextech runes are. Pass me a tome. Pass me a tome. There, you sighed. Still a kind of language. A sound, but not words. Something raw, natural. That's wild runes. Most places the arcane is dormant, but here and there, it's more active, and wild runes are...
Sort of like its fingerprints.
Exactly.
So you're telling me that pattern is on my tree because you pissed the arcane off with all your demands?
That's not what I...
Oh, the lad may be onto something. Every action sparks a reaction. Oh, ball sockets.
Do you think this could actually be a result of overuse of
那
Hextech?
肯定是有所代价的。
Miracles spring from the hands of mages many times, but so often they turn to horrors. I'd always presumed it was due to mankind's turbulent relationship with power. But perhaps it is a property of the arcane itself.
We tested our Hextech under every conceivable condition for years. If there's some reaction taking place, how come we've never seen any sign of it until now? And why would it appear on a tree? Deep under ground.
从土壤上、从生态上就已经进行了一些影响。这样看来，应该上层的这个工业排放都是排到底下去了。
Your source panned out. I've confirmed Sallow met privately with members of several houses today. I should have been first to bring this to you. I promise I wouldn't have missed it. It's just such a bold move, and at this moment, it's...
Foolish.
Of course, your mother is anything but a fool. There must be an angle I'm missing.
Did you look into the other matter?
There's a rat's nest of misinformation surrounding your brother's passing. Whomever he crossed knows how to cover their tracks. Moreover, it seems they've managed to strip your mother of most of her holdings.
She's desperate, which makes her all the more
因为这样
dangerous.
他就更需要皮城，
What are we going to do?
影响皮城了。
Summon the apothecary. I'll want his opinion of this. And check in on Amara.
This is still part of the Hex Gates? We must be at least 200 feet below the surface.
The entire structure is a channel, focusing the Hextech energy into a precise beam.
都是涂鸦。天呐 ，Powder 和 Y， 我。哦 ，Vanner。
Kate, if you see an opening,
他下不了手。
take the shot.
Bye.
哦。
How do you know so much about its design?
Read what I could, deduced what I couldn't. Plus, I didn't think the topside would trust anything that important below the surface.
哇！
I thought the gemstone mesh was installed above ground.
The mesh is above ground, but we weren't sure what would happen if the gate overloaded. So
这有点像那个 X 教授待的地方。
Instead of it exploding in your neighborhood, it would blow up in ours.
we're miles from the main fissures.
These are the same utility ducts that carry our water and facilitate our
第一个遭殃的就是底
That
下
would
的人。
explain it affecting the tree. Inconceivable. You know, you say we
这是吐的那个血吧？
we're the ones that get played. What the?
那一滩血好像是
Finally got the name right. Guess there really isn't a crack in the earth where you won't find me.
What is this place?
Don't you remember the old Jana bedtime stories Vander used to tell us? Miners trapped underground, air running thin, but then some wispy wind woman wafts to their rescue.
这就是底层人他们信的神。
Choke them out.
We use the Grey to clear the streets, to keep people safe.
We never thought my sister would turn Bluebelly.
Never thought mine would orphan kids.
Why not? Done it to myself enough. But plastering my face all over so someone else would do your dirty work. Poisoning our air. You've turned a leaf.
Jinx 现在也是姐姐了
I'm
呢。
done blaming myself for your mistakes. Done pretending you're my sister. You're not.
哦，
You killed her. I'm not gonna let you stain her memory anymore.
Then stop me. 'Cause no matter what I do, I just can't seem to die.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too.
Oh. 哦。天呐，哇，他真的忍心。
you're sweet on her. Hope you got a chance to, before.
I'm ready. Is that a wild room?
I have no idea what that is.
这太恐怖了吧！它已经发生了一些裂变了。
You walk along the edge of danger, and it will change.
哦，塞维卡！哦。哦，都受到影响了，跟 Hextech 有关的。哦，迪亚波罗！哇，万花筒一般的，天哪！啊！不要！哦，别去，宝贝。歪了脸上的表情。哦，他的曾经的那个。已经失控了。Kaylin， 哦，别裂开啊！啊，手指。Why 没有 ready？
I'm glad it's you. Had to be you.
哦，别！
a child. Move! She's not getting away again. Kate. Move! Kate!
哦哇！天呐 ，Kate，
No, no, no! This isn't how it's supposed to.
他要把这打开了。哦，塞维卡，哦，把他们护住。所有的风，哦，风女的后面就是所有的风都这样席卷而来了，这样毒气。这下谁也逃不掉了。哦，全都排出来了，和各种各样的颜料。白色。但是 Jinx 本来不想把这样炸成这样的，塞维卡应该那是最后一击，类似于备选方案。
Kate，
他还是想找 Jinx。
You stopped me. I shouldn't have had to. I had the shot. That was a kid. What have you missed?
I wasn't going to miss.
What's wrong with you?
I keep telling myself that you're different. But you're not.
Oh.
It's her blood in your veins.
Then why are you the one acting like her?
对麦来说，这也太残酷了。别这。
Alora, what's wrong?
哦，是Amara。啊。他们要拿 Ambessa 的家人来作为这个要挟。
Thank you all for answering my summons. I've come to trust the expertise of Ambessa Medarda. You no doubt recognize the name. She's just shared with me some very upsetting, but sadly unsurprising news.
Good evening. Yesterday, I met with your guild merchant, Amara.
Amara.
We spoke of rebuilding, restoring this great city to its former glory. When 2 Zornite assassins fell upon us. I tried to save her, but the blade pierced her heart. Our families
一些谎言。
fear an assassin's dagger in the night. It's time to end this. You've given Zorn opportunity after opportunity to repair their wrongs. And how have they answered?
哦，毒气。
Half your council is dead. Your memorial is made a massacre. Well, no more. Wrath must be met with wrath.
他一直是想这么做的。
You must declare martial law.
对于他的家族来说，这也是最好的。
This threat is vanquished. Someone who will not pale when faced with Zorn's degeneracy, whose conviction never wavers. A pillar of your community, whose house has always stood for progress. Who may consider my experience and my entire detachment of Noxian soldiers at their disposal. Until all our families are safe. Of course, I could only be referring to
Caitlyn 吗？
Caitlyn
哦，那个人还觉得是自己呢，笑死！他早看中 Caitlyn 了。Caitlyn 现在的抱负是跟他最为一致的。献出心脏吧！哦，哇，好帅呀！天哪！哇，这种眼神的颤抖，哦。 哦，就是 Ambessa 派的人，他就是要挑起这个斗争。这就是他的野心和手段，不愧是个政治家呢。哇，我这个眼神简直了，就是从那种颤抖到这种坚毅。哦。Caitlyn 感觉要黑化了。 我的这一声打得我鸡皮疙瘩都起来了。 哇，这什么东西啊？它还有复活这个东西吗？这集看的我真的太震撼了，为什么 RK 能做得越来越好啊？真的就是每一集都还在颠覆着你的这个期待，真的是好久没有见到这样一部作品了。先从前面看起，就是最开头的这一段真的又很有创意，让我想到了之前看上一季的时候，每个开头都也充满着惊喜，又有一种有点复古美式美漫的那种感觉吧，真的就是纯纯的在炫技。Kaylin 等于说已经掌握了他们家族就是修这个管道的各种可能是机关，整个排布他们都已经了如指掌，所以呢他们就多少释放出了那些就是 Gray。 然后上一集的时候应该也是他专门放了毒气进到 Jinx 的那个拳击场，然后从开头这些片段也能看出他们一路在疏通这种管道排放气体，并且就是也不断的应该是在烧毁 Shimmer。 我觉得很酷的是最后定格在 Kaylin 这里，但是从后面这些画报中又就是出来了 Jinx， 其实已经在暗示就是Kaylin 他已经不断的更像是 Jinx 了，就是不断的在往极端走了。还有很细节的在于就是这 Kaylin 他们组成的这个小队其实也有一些就是理念上的不合了吧，就是从最开始他们去救这个底层人看出来他们行动上的优先级吧，就是比如说像那个警探队的他们就是赶紧抓紧着去救人， Kaylin 确实拿着这个枪已经抵在这个人前了，但是 Y 呢就是直接先类似于警惕 Kaylin 的这个枪，不想让他伤人吧，然后马上也说出我们要谈一谈。我觉得他已经多少能感受到 Kaylin 他的这个黑化的走向了，所以呢他先跟他类似于打了一针强心剂，我已经知道抱抱已经不在了，就是你是可以去枪杀他的。 Y 他这个时候已经不希望或者说已经在警醒 Kaylin 不要去走向那条就是更加极端的路吧。就是这一集简直把 Y 塑造的太立体了，我太喜欢了，觉得就是真的让我不断的想起 Vander 对他说过的话，就是你有一颗善良的心。 Y 他一直都是其实非常理智的，他是非常爱他自己妹妹的，他也不希望就是真的变成了 Jinx 的他妹妹就是做出如此残暴的这些事情。他身为底层人，然后但是却披上了这一层上层的皮，不管是他的内疚还是他想要去守护的这颗心，都让他暂时的先放下了对就是上层人的那种偏见，他想要去守护更多人的安危，他不忍心看到 Kaylin 也不断的走向黑化的这条道路。他最开始其实确实是已经想好让 Jinx 可能以命偿命了吧，最开始碰到 Jinx 的时候，第一发 Kaylin 的子弹打过去他其实是回避掉的，但是他一看到小姑娘跑过来这样子护住 Jinx， 一瞬间明白了 Jinx 应该还并不是完全的变成了疯子，并不是完全一个可以随便让人变成孤儿的人，反而变成了一个像姐姐一样的形象。这样的他其实可能让他又多少看到了 Powder 的那一面吧，就是他觉得 Jinx 他还是有希望的。他在第二发 Kaylin 要打过去的时候，第一也是为了保护那个小孩，第二他可能也就是想要杀 Jinx 的心动摇了，他并不像最开始在管道这块通风口这段的时候就是像 Kaylin 那么信誓旦旦的说让他杀掉 Jinx。 而 Jinx 也一样，在这一处就是充满他这些涂鸦回忆的地方，就是他其实是已经设计好了自己死亡的一个剧本了吧，他其实已经想好可能要在这里丧命了，这样子的剧本也非常有 Jinx 的风格。但是他也没有想到这个小女孩这样子来护住他，他本身在这个 Y 的拳下已经可能打算就这样让 Y 杀死他了。这一幕也真的让我想到了就是上一季的时候应该是第7集 Echo 把他这样压在他的那个分针下边的时候，真的就是如出一辙啊。他一直都是有这种自毁的倾向吧，他本身就可能想杀掉自己，但是怎么也杀不掉。虽然他每次都自嘲就是离自己最近的人都死了，觉得自己真的是个祸害，但是当他这个新来的这个妹妹这样子去护住他的时候，他还是没有想让自己这样死亡，而终止了自己这个死亡的剧本，然后去打断这一段复仇，去保护住这个妹妹。觉得每个人身上这个复杂性真的写得非常好，小妹妹真的成为像 Jinx 的家人一样，当然夏维卡也是那么的可靠，我觉得他们3个人也会成为一个非常好的一个小团队吧。那个小妹妹这样子去抱住 Jinx 的时候，真的也让我多少想到了最开始无助的她扑向 Silco 的时候，觉得这种姐妹之情也一定触动到了 Y。 那 Y 其实一直以来就是对于她妹妹的事情还是有一些犹豫和动摇的吧，最后下手也是最开始说让 Kaylin 下手嘛。 但是这件事情也让他看到了 Kaylin 确实已经多少被仇恨蒙蔽了双眼吧。虽然 Kaylin 说他自己不会打偏，但是这个时候真的说不好了。Kaylin 看到 Y 就是这样子挡住这一枪的时候，就是他那个眼神的变化，就是从那种失望然后再到不可置信，我真的刻画的特别好。也让我想到了上一集的时候 Kaylin 不是也跟 Y 说，我以为你是我们这一边的。这集说的话也非常刺痛到了 Y 吧，是让 Y 在做一个非常决绝的这么一个割裂，要么你就完全是我们这边的人，然后不要对他们再心有善意，就是留有余地，要么你就是跟你妹妹在一起，你们都是同类人。最后 Y 这边就是两败俱伤的感觉，真的看得我非常非常的心痛吧。Y 他一直都是一个很执拗的老好人的这么一个形象吧，其实像他这样单纯的一个善人，在这种情境中反而是两边不讨好，但即使这样他还是要尽全力尽到自己想要守护的心，他是非常真切的不希望看到任何人在受到伤害的。这两边的关系还是 Kaylin 和 Jinx 两个人，他都好像是要靠 Y 一个人在两边的修补，真的觉得 Y 也很累。其实上一季的时候他就很累，他跟塞维卡那次大战的时候已经精疲力竭了，他一直都是想弥补自己创造了这个怪物的这个责任，也要为 Kaylin 失去母亲而担起这一部分的责任。就是当好人，而且做一个从一而终的好人就是非常的难的，在这种境遇下就会非常的摇摆不定，而且会活得非常的累，感觉像是看不到一个答案一样。Y 真的让我太佩服了。现在在 Jinx 身边的这个小妹妹应该也会多少让她体会一下这位姐姐的是什么样一种感受吧。像 Silco 也最后就是感受到了 Vander 他所承担的和他所爱的守护的事物是什么样的，很期待就是他和这个妹妹的故事如何说不定能修复得了他的这个精神上的失控和心理的创伤。最后塞维卡就是再一次其实是相当于启动了备用计划救了 Jinx 的时候， Jinx 也是说不应该是这样的，他其实就已经想死在这里了，就像当时有想过死在 Echo 的这个武器下。其实剧情推动到现在了， Y 和对 Jinx 和 Jinx 对 Y 他们的这个亲情对姐妹的这种爱意，其实就像 Jinx 的涂鸦一样，明明都还是就是爱着彼此了吧，双方其实都有在犹豫和放水，都有是在不断的试探，我真的是看得太揪心了。 Kaylin 在就是面对小孩已经就是在 Jinx 身上的时候，还是想要射击的时候，其实我也有一些惊讶的，虽然知道他被这种复仇的念头冲昏了头脑了，但我还是没想到他居然已经到了这种地步吧。上一季的时候有一次 Y 受伤的时候，他去被底层的人忽悠过去买微光的时候，他当时还那样子温柔的抱住了那个其实已经在骗他的那个贫民窟的人，我记得当时就非常的被 Kaylin 的这种人格所打动吧。但是如今他也已经是走到了这样子的一个道路上，我也很期待就是 Kaylin 他之后的这个就是如何在这种黑化的道路上有所改变吧。现在他等于说也是跟 Ambessa 就是强联手，但是有个问题是他就是他们家的这个底牌其实已经被就是 Jinx 给搞得差不多了，就是这个管道也已经被 Jinx 所就是改动了，底牌已经差不多耗尽的，就是 Kaylin 这个时候被扶持上台，不知道会不会就是被 Ambessa 给架空呢？ Ambessa 就是找个人来就是进行操控呢。也能看到他们小队的那个就是肉盾哥已经就是充满了失望了吧，可能接下来他们这个小队也会有这种理念的分歧而就分崩离析。本身这些颜料不应该是掺杂的毒气这样涌到上城的，但是还是让这种悲剧发生了吧。但是能看出来那些小孩就是应该是祖安城的小孩还挺兴奋的，有点像在看烟花秀似的。这个时候其实已经能看出 Jinx 他将要就是领导底层人们的这个初见端倪了吧，因为大家其实能看到 Jinx 对上城这种实实在在的一个打击报复吧。就 Kaylin 他被扶持到这个上城的这个前面，我觉得也有些担心吧，毕竟就是感觉他是会被利用的，就是他本身都已经深受这种丧母之痛，然后还有家族之名了。Ambessa 的这个手段简直高出他太多了。说到他就是最开始跟他会面的这个黑玫瑰家族吧，算是真的还挺神奇的，就是他们感觉像是用巫术吧，他的那个守卫手里的这个手杖感觉像是有天生相克这种巫术的这种魔力，像是一种可能防御机制。 其实也能多少感觉到 Ambessa 他应该就是家族可能还是有一些迫在眉睫的危机的，不然他也不会这么急于来皮城找到新的希望吧。我也很喜欢就是他多么维护 Mel 吧，虽然他不会操控 Mel， 但是他一直有把 Mel 放到一个安全的地方，也不许任何人去侮辱到他。但是这一集我觉得可能是被这个黑玫瑰的这个计策正中下怀了，因为他将自己这里就是守卫增加，但是其实可能对方的这个目的正是在于 Mel 这边守卫是并没有增加的。这个时候再次看到 Jinx 引爆这些烟雾弹和毒气，让这个上城的人再次受到这种袭击，而对于 Ambessa 来说是件好事儿，反而他就是想加剧这种斗争吧。我现在也更加好奇 Ambessa 他儿子到底是怎么着，犯了什么事儿，他们这个家族到底是出现了什么样的危机，尤其是对于这个黑玫瑰家族来说， Ambessa 更像是就是通过皮城，通过 Hextech 或者是这些科技上的这些帮助，能够让他就是抵抗黑玫瑰家族，跟他们家族能够硬碰硬吧。而且在 Ambessa 如此重视家人的这种地步上，我觉得他绝对是要找黑玫瑰家族麻烦的，他肯定是要报仇的，为了自己的儿子报仇。然后就是这一集出现的非常有视觉效果的这个 Heimerdinger、Echo 和 Jace 他们找到了这个类似于已经发生裂变的 Hex Core， 整个真的就是像一个奇观一般吧。就最开始那个地上那滩血应该是就是 Victor 好像之前就在这个高处咳过这么一口血，然后这样子滴落下来的。就像以前他最开始在 Hex Core 上面就是不小心有血沾到上面的时候， Hex Core 也有就是类似于反应发生一些就是动态的变化，这滩血已经跟这底下的这个金属什么的已经变成像是那个 Echo 他们那边树叶的那种花纹和纹路那种变异的感觉了。再加上那段配乐，我不知道是不是上一季唱 Guns for Hire 那个人唱的，然后还有整个这种神级的转场，真的是看得太过瘾了。还有就是这次他触碰到这个狂野符文的时候，真的就让我想到周周里的黄金镇魂曲，这就是这次永远无法达到的真实。其实它的这整个效果跟《黄金镇魂曲》很像的是，它好像也在看到了过去和未来，它不断的是在时间的最前端一般。这也让我想到会不会跟之后 Echo 它的这个能力有所连接，有所相通的地方呢？还有一个非常重要的在于，它整个这个符文等于说是其实是相通的，因为当这一次它触碰到这个符文的时候，其他的就是包括 Kaylin 它用到的 Hextech 啊什么的，还有这个全套，他们都有所反应，是共通的。不仅是 Hextech， 还有就是微光，像是塞维卡脸上的那些痕迹，感觉跟微光也产生了相互的反应。而这个符文看上去还能有那种分解和重组的这个功能。Jace 触碰的时候，他好像一瞬间还能就是看到 Jace 他过去的这个记忆，感觉他真的是跟时间相关的一种能力吧。我想不通啊，怎么能做得这么好啊，真的是我太喜欢了。现在有非常多叙事线在交互进行，但是丝毫没有觉得那种很乱，它每一节都是环环相扣，真的是怎么看都看不够。那这期视频就结束啦，我们下次再见啦，拜拜。